Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I will be tracking a lingering ice storm through the southern plains and mid-Mississippi Valley region through late today. Then an extreme cold blast takes over the northern and northeastern United States this upcoming weekend, followed by an active storm track setting up next week with more heavy snow and heavy rainfall possible across parts of the country. Looking out the door this morning, we still have those weather alerts out there, those winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, and in the violet shaded colors here from central Texas through the mid-Mississippi Valley region, some ice storm warnings lingering through later on today into Friday morning. And the reason why we see this is because we have freezing drizzle, sleet, and freezing rain still occurring across north central Texas on up here toward the Red River into southern Oklahoma and parts of Arkansas here this morning. That will continue through around the noon time frame. But as we get through the afternoon and into the evening hours, temperatures will rise above freezing in many of these areas across East Texas, getting into northern Louisiana and parts of southern Arkansas. Will start to turn this freezing drizzle and freezing rain and sleet over to liquid rainfall as we head through the mid-evening hours here tonight. And again, additional ice accumulation across these areas will be a tenth to 2/10 of an inch of ice from north central Texas, getting through southeastern Oklahoma, south central Arkansas, and then on up here towards Memphis, Tennessee from now through Friday morning. That will still be causing some minor to at times moderate travel inconveniences across north central Texas, getting up toward the Red River here into southern Oklahoma, and then east northeastward toward the mid-Mississippi Valley, including parts of Arkansas into western Tennessee and northwestern Mississippi now through Friday morning. So take it slow on the roads, leave plenty of distance between you and the car in front of you as possible, especially when slowing down, and let those salt crews take over the roads to try and clear those with the ice later on today. But if you guys are new to the channel and have not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my daily weather forecast updates every single morning at 9 a.m. Also press the like button. It's that thumbs up button down below as well. It helps to get all of this weather information out to more and more people here on YouTube. So I definitely appreciate if you guys would hit both buttons down below the video. But looking late this week and especially into this weekend, the next big weather story will be the extreme cold blast moving from Canada down across the northern and eventually the northeastern United States. You see that with a strong cold front moving across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes here this afternoon. Temperatures will be a good 10 to 20 degrees below average up here into the Dakotas, Minnesota, and parts of southern Canada, and that will pivot its way farther east across the eastern Great Lakes into southeastern Canada and the northeastern United States going into the day on Friday, February 3rd. And you could definitely pick out where that strong cold front will be with the very cold negative temperatures, even double digits below zero up into southern Canada for high temperatures across Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec, Canada later on this afternoon. But across parts of the south will still be mild with temperatures in the 40s and even some 30s down here near those areas starting to warm up with the ice storm later today. But watch as we go into tomorrow on Friday, February 3rd. We see that cold front move farther east across portions of the Ohio Valley into the northeast. And these high temperatures here will be across the teens and even down into the single digits as we move toward the northeast and even below zero temperatures across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York, and that moves farther north into southeastern Canada. Looking at the wind chills out here on Friday, it will be brutal, especially into southeastern Canada and interior New England. Wind chill values could be at least 30, if not 40, perhaps even over 50 degrees below zero here into parts of Quebec, Canada. So definitely take it easy outdoors on Friday, February 3rd. But looking at those low temperatures as we go through Friday night and into the morning hours on Saturday, this upcoming weekend on February 4th, look at these temperatures we'll be waking up to across upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and even Quebec, guys. We're seeing 25 to 35 degrees below zero air temperatures without the wind chill Saturday morning. Factoring in the wind out there with the wind chills, we could easily see wind chills 50 to 60 degrees degrees below zero, if not even colder in some of the higher elevations as we go through Saturday morning. So definitely bundle up outside if you are headed outdoors across most of the Northeast through this upcoming weekend. And we're only rebounding Saturday afternoon into the single digits to even double digits below zero up here into parts of New England, across Maine, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, upstate New York, and parts of Quebec, Canada. We're only going to get up into the low 20s down here into Long Island near New York City Saturday afternoon. Looking at the wind chills, we're only recovering to about 30, 35 below with wind chills Saturday afternoon across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and southeastern Canada. So it's going to be a very cold go of it through early on this weekend. So definitely bundle up out there, dress in plenty of layers. Again, the extreme cold, you want to dress in 3, 4 layers if you have to stay warm, cover up exposed skin. It definitely helps to prevent frostbite out there as well. And again, a lot of this cold will be coming without much snow. We could have some lake effect snow showers across parts of western New York State into northwestern Pennsylvania. These won't be that big of a deal, maybe a few inches of snow there going through Friday. That will continue into Saturday, but really most of the Northeast is void of any snowfall on Saturday. So a lot of this cold air will just be there and just not seeing any precipitation really at all across the Northeast. But if you're not a fan of the cold and you want some warmer temperatures, I got the answer for you here. The Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from February 7th through the 11th time frame, now getting into the second week in February, does favor likely, if not even expected, above normal temperatures across especially the eastern 2/3 of the country. And then we have the below normal temperatures shifting back across the southwestern United States during that second week in February. And you can see that warm up here with the temperature anomalies will be a good 10, 20 degrees above average across the center of the country on up into southern Canada starting early next week on Monday, February 6th. And that travels farther east as we get into Tuesday, February 7th. And that doesn't stop there. That goes at least through the 11th time frame of February. And seeing these temperatures warm up on Monday, we'll see 40s and 50s up here across the Missouri, Ohio River valleys and parts of the Mid-Atlantic. 60s to near 70 degrees down into the central Gulf Coast states into Texas and much of Florida on Monday. And then watch the surge in temperatures on Tuesday, 50s, middle 50s at that, across the Ohio Valley and parts of the Mid-Atlantic, and will really warm up across the Northeast. It will feel probably like summer compared to what we're seeing this upcoming weekend, with temperatures in the 30s and 40s on up here, especially into towards New York City, Boston, and getting up here into places like Vermont and New Hampshire on Tuesday, February 7th. We're also going to be setting up an active storm track as well. During that time frame, a likely above average precipitation across the eastern 2/3 of the country, really centered on the Ohio and Tennessee river valleys, some below normal precipitation out across the Intermountain West, and then a little area up here into the Pacific Northwest with some active storms as well, getting into the second week in February. And it all has to do with this very strong subtropical jet setting up. We're going to see a lot of southern stream storms start to move up from Texas and then across the Ohio Valley into the Northeast going into early next week. And you can see using the European forecast model next week, and we're going to check these models out because there still are large differences in the synoptic setup next week. The European forecast model has the trough ejecting into the mid-Mississippi Valley as early as Wednesday next week. But then in comparison, the GFS on Wednesday has the trough a lot slower back across the west and the southwest early next week. So there are major differences in the global forecasting models going in through early next week with the synoptic setup. So looking first at the European rainfall output here next week, it does show that from Texas and the southern plains all the way up through the mid-Mississippi Valley and the western Great Lakes. And it also paints a swath, a narrow swath, but a swath of snow from the Missouri Valley into the western Great Lakes and southeastern Canada with the European forecast model next week. But in comparison, the GFS model is a lot farther west and a lot slower of a solution with that trough here as it moves the trough a little slower across the mid-Mississippi Valley. A lot heavier rain down here into Texas, into the central Great Plains, and into the upper Midwest going into next week on the GFS model. And it also has the snow a lot farther west across the central and southern plains and perhaps down into the panhandles here of Oklahoma and Texas on the GFS model. So looking at these models, again, there are discrepancies, but it does look like beyond there we still have above average temperatures across the eastern 2/3 of the country, going right straight through the middle of February on the 15th. And again, a lot of these troughs will be sticking around across the southwestern United States with some below normal temperatures during this time frame. But an active storm track will still be there across the middle of February from the central Great Lakes down through the mid-Mississippi Valley and the southern plains and much of the lower 48 at that, going in toward the middle of February. And it does look like that potential storm track from February 9th through February 15th will set up somewhere across the southern plains or the southwestern United States, and then these low pressure systems will be southern stream dominated, so they will move farther northeast across the mid-Mississippi Valley and then into the central Great Lakes regions, and then the heavier snow that will be flying across the northwestern side of these systems with the colder air moving in from the northwest, and then the warmer air from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic promoting more heavy rainfall and possibly some severe weather with this as we go into that second week into February across the eastern seaboard here and down across the Gulf Coast states. So that will be something to watch as we get a little bit closer towards that time frame. So to weather recap here for you guys, a lingering ice storm will continue through late today from the southern plains to the mid-Mississippi Valley. An extreme cold blast takes over across the northern and northeastern United States here going through this weekend. And then an active storm track will set up next week with heavy snow and heavy rain possible across parts of the country, and it remains to be seen what parts of the country will see that. We'll give you more information as we get a little bit closer towards next week. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below by pressing the thumbs up button. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Thursday, everybody. A great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.